another Sales Wisdom Pod with Arnaud Fischer. He is founder CEO at Grout Catalyst Lab. That is, Arnaud pretty much does the same thing as my agency Top Leads. He's into outbound and automated outbound solutions, which we're going to talk about today. Arnaud, welcome to the pod. Tell us a bit more about yourself and GCL.
Nice to meet you. How do you want to start, Charles? Please let me know.
Sorry?
How do you want to start?
Well, your introduction, I guess, like a bit more about yourself, a bit more about your company, and then I can ask you specific questions.
Excellent. Yeah, let's do like this. Arnaud Fischer. Basically, I'm not a direct product of Outbound. I've started with completely different things. I get, first of all, a degree in biology. I then switched as an engineer. I was working as an engineer for 5 years in industry, diverse industry, automotive, steel and mining industries, and electronic industry. I was basically always working in continuous improvement or quality department, meaning that my role was always to fine-tune things, make sure that the product the customer was receiving was conform, streamlining the processes internally, making sure that the delivery time was okay, etc. And then I've been graduated with an MBA in a business school because I wanted, being in contact not only internally with people working in the company, but as an extrovert person, I wanted to have like contact with people outside the company. And then I switched from engineering to business. And I've been working like 4 or 5 years as a business development manager. And then I switched to founding my own company. So it's been like 2 years that I've been founding my company. And to summarize it a little bit, I think, it's the intersection between two things, like the engineering side, because it has to be processed. You have an input, you have an output, and you have things in between happening. And then the business side. So basically, this is what I believe I'm doing with Grout Catalyst Lab, is being the catalyst of every business, meaning that having a process that helps my customer, getting more customer, and booking more meetings.
Right. Who do you target as customers, and how many of them do you have right now?
Yeah, basically, I'm still learning on that. My initial segmentation was basically health tech startups, funding A or B, maximum C round, having a few departments on marketing and sales, which is basically in the health tech space. The thing is, it's very difficult to target because health tech space is not that easy. And as an end customer, when you're in a health tech company, you may have like dozen of possibility. You can have like health tech, insurance, you can have B2B, large pharma enterprise. And my segment in particular are health tech that are chasing large pharma enterprise, which is a very, very amount of which is a niche basically. I've tested as well what we call the mainstream market with all the big players, but I feel myself more comfortable in the early adopter and innovator segment rather than the main market where you have to send 1,000 emails a day. I like the intellectual part of segmenting, fine-tuning, and the copywriting, which is not the same effort in the mainstream market. The science remains the same, but the cadence and the quantity is not the same. So to me, basically, health tech company chasing for B2B, large enterprise pharma, and today I have 3 clients I'm working with, and that's it for now on the execution side. But on top of that, I have as well the coaching side where I'm helping like entrepreneurs who don't have the budget to run the campaign, but to give them advice about how to attract more clients.
Right. How much do you charge them typically on a monthly basis for what kind of results?
At the very beginning, it was like only performance based. I used to be a sales, so the way I was presenting myself was, I'm a sales guy. And then people say, okay, yeah, I trust you, you're a sales guy, but you only get a commission when you get a contract. And at the beginning, it was like 500 per leads. And today it's depending on the client, but I'm trying to charge something between 2,000 to 5,000 on a monthly basis, and on top of that, a fee when the contract is signed.
Right. So 5,000 per month?
2 to 5, yes.
Okay, interesting. What tool do you use to do your outreach? And what kind of results can you get your clients on a monthly basis with these tools?
Yeah, yeah. The way I'm approaching that has changed a lot. From back when I'm an engineer, so I like to try different things. I like to try new software, etc. But I think I've been streamlining all the process with the experience. So basically, the tool are everything we need to enrich the data. First, let's do it like very methodically. The first step is the extraction step, which is basically like getting the lead. I'm starting with sales navigators, which is pretty good in terms of segmentation. You have then the Boolean search that allowing you that making things that are very relevant. It's not 100% accurate, but I believe it's a first starting point. Once you have that, I have tools that allow me to extract the contact to a JSheet. Basically, I can use like Phantom Buster or Captain Data. Once you have all the contact, you need to enrich them with the email. You need to get the email. You can do that with Drop Contact. Once you have the email, you can use tools such as Bouncer to make sure you have a good deliverability. And then you concatenate all the results in like say outreach campaign management tool. And you can use Lemlist, Lagos Machine, etc. And using Lagos Machine. And then you send the email. And the very first step is like everything you know about the email setup, etc. But that was not part of the question.
Right. So mostly cold email. Do you also do LinkedIn outreach or calls in the process?
Yeah, both of them, because you can make both. So with Lagos Machine, actually, you can have email and LinkedIn.
Right. I've been doing cold email and LinkedIn outreach for quite a while. Any tips that you have other than building great lists on Sales Nav? Like, what do your emails look like in terms of copywriting? Tell us about that and about the offer.
Yeah. In terms of how does it look like? I mean, I've experimented a lot of things. I think outreach is an experimental science. I will not say this is a template, use this template, and you will have like 10 meetings a week. It's not the truth, especially because it's changing a lot regarding of your audience. But basically, you have to keep it short. You don't have to speak about yourself to yourself. You need to speak about them, about their problem. And to me, you cannot sell with LinkedIn on email, but you can engage in a conversation. And everything you need to do is basically validate that someone, your prospects, have a problem you can solve. This is it. I mean, keep it short, make sure the person you're talking to has a problem you can solve, and then you win the game. If not, you have no chance. I mean, I've seen so much email about pitching the product of the company. It's not about that. It's only like engaging with someone and trying to build trust and confidence, and then trying to jump in a call, and that's it.
So do you go like mostly reply based, or because, for example, me, the shorter the better, and if I can get them to reply to an email and then after send them somewhat of a templated response, for example, for this podcast, hey, do you want to be on the Sales Wisdom Pod? And then if they say yes, I send them templated email with a bunch of info. Template isn't good, generally speaking, because it's not personalized, but my template is very full and it's somewhat a little bit personalized, and I get a bunch of yes and podcast books as a result. So do you go reply based as well in your emails?
Yep.
What kind of questions you ask to get a reply?
I mean, with the call to action, I'm asking a lot about like, I like the thing of like making sure that is that your current priority right now? Does that sound relevant to you? I'm not asking for a call. I'm just asking that, is it really a problem that you're facing right now? This is basically the kind of CTA I have at the end of my email or LinkedIn conversation. Does that make sense to you? Are you the good person to talk about this? Stuff like this.
Right. When it comes to their problems, what's your approach to finding out their pain? And do you A/B test your hypothesis to see that indeed these are the top 3 pain, and you test 1 pain per campaign, and you have 3 of them, and then you found that, oh, that's really the pain that I hypothesized? How do you go with that?
Yeah, the idea is, like having the kind of pyramid view. So basically you have a segment, let's say sales directors, you try to list pain per sales director, pain 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have a big audience of, let's say, 1,000, and then you're going to split like 200 batches, and then trying to iterate over pain and testing pain, and then keeping the one which is successful and erase the rest.
Right. And when it comes to the CTA, for example, there's like tons of offers. You can ask them like, is that a problem that you're facing? Do you also believe in the straight up like asking for a demo call, or is that too early and you go for always reply first?
No, I'm not asking for a demo. Always get a reply first, because you know, we are all overwhelmed with I don't know. I mean, you have founded such several companies, you have created your own domain, and you have experienced it. You know, like you get in 10 cold email a day, and yeah, I want to go out of this burden, and I just want to engage and create a conversation. I don't want to push for a call for a demo, because simply people don't have time about that. And yeah, it's only about getting a reply. I'm not a big fan of pushing for a demo. I don't even have a calendar link in my signatures. I keep it very short, and I'm only trying to triggering a reply.
Right. Have you tested the podcast offer? For example, it's one of the best offer that I A/B tested for my clients. Most of them do not have a compelling offer other than asking like, yes, no, is that a problem that you have, which is also a good approach, but straight up asking people for podcasts as a step one and making them win, having you win at the same time, and then potentially filtering them as a client has been an approach that I've been successfully testing lately. Have you tried that?
No, but I like the idea. It's clever. I mean, I haven't tested that for a podcast, but I've tested that for a newsletter that I have, like interviewing people based on a newsletter. And it's working pretty well, because people are willing to help. It's incredible that I mean, the way of engaging with people, if you're asking for something and they feel that they will lose time, you can forget about it. But if you ask about like, can you give me an advice? Can you give me some tips, etc.? 9 times out of 10, they are willing to help. It's incredible how people are willing to help.
Right. So like you're going after health tech, you're going after biotech. So that's the direction of the company, 2 to 5K per month. Do you have any growth plan for the business? Like where do you want to take it? Where do you want to scale it?
I mean, I believe I'm in a niche where I cannot scale a lot, you know, because I have a prospecting list about maximum, let's say 100 to 200 accounts. But my wish is not like being the top number one size fits all lead gen agency. I only want to be in my niche, be like the trusted partner in my niche. And if I have like 4 to 6 clear months maximum, it's okay for me, you know, like I don't have the pretension like being like a mass marketer. I only wanted to be on my niche. And I believe that brings a lot of trust, you know, because it's all about knowing the audience, knowing the pain points they're facing. And the reality is in life science, it's so segmented. Even to understand what people are doing, it's so hard. I mean, when you are in the mainstream market, it's easy to capture what is a sales director, marketing director doing. But when you are like in life science, trying to understand what is a health economic and outcome research guy doing, what is an epidemiologist doing, it requires a lot of research. And I believe, you know, like being very segmented on that will provide values, and because the audience apparently is very scientific, and you cannot like catch them very simply like with all the bullshit that you read about action, interest, desire, action. It's something very different. And yeah, my vision is basically staying in my niche, trying to scale, but I have a high level of interaction with my client as well. I don't want to have 10 clients at the same time. So staying in my niche, staying focused, and high level of interaction with my clients. I believe it's going to work as well this way.
Right. Interesting. For your newsletter, I've been seeing that you've been publishing lately. Any tips for us, and what are the parallels between this and cold email?
The parallel between my newsletters and cold email, you mean?
First question is like, where do you want to take your newsletters? You know, probably the why, some stats if you have. And second, do you have any parallels that you're making between this and cold emailing?
My newsletter, yeah, about my newsletter, you know, it's been very hard because, yeah, I don't have any audience. I trying to build my audience, and I have the impression that it's hard for people to leave the email address because they have already 10 email or 20 newsletter and they don't want to give you an email. So basically, this is it. And the main goal for Grow with Scale with Outbound was that, you know, we heard a lot of things. People are hearing that, okay, you can take an account, just trying to build lists and spam people with email. But the reality is it's much more complicated than that. And my newsletter is much more about education. You know, to make a proper outreach, you need strategy knowledge, segmentation, targeting, positioning. You need data knowledge because you have a lot of API call between tools to enrich things, etc. You need to have email setup knowledge, DKIM, SPF, DMARC, etc. You need copywriting knowledge because it's the art of trying to sell something with words. Basically, the main goal of my newsletter is trying to educate people about that. First point. About the audience right now, I have around 50 people in this audience, which is pretty small, but I've duplicated that on LinkedIn, and I've been much successful on LinkedIn, and I have around like 300 to 500 people following me on LinkedIn.
Love it. I see you're using lots of AI tools. Mid-Journey, certainly I can see it, or at least your website's an AI website builder. Yes. What AI tools are you using nowadays, and do you use them in your outreach?
Yeah, basically, you have all the integration with Apollo when you are trying to like craft some sequences, some messaging. ChatGPT is my best friend. I mean, I'm using the last version as a marketing strategist, like asking very simple things about, imagine you are this type of guy, what is your problem, what is your symptom, what kind of solution can you bring to them? And yeah, basically ChatGPT, I would say, and that's helped me a lot about the copywriting stuff, etc.
Right. Where can people find out more about you online, Arnaud?
Yeah, I'm available on LinkedIn. You can find me, Arnaud Fischer, very simply, and then start the conversation from there, no problem.